HUD had a program called PRO Housing, which provided money nationwide. The state applied for money, received 3.8. They haven't allocated it yet, but they did flag the Washington County Health Equity Zone as receiving some of that money. We don't know what that money is going to look like yet. And so what I provided to you, I think you should have a copy of sort of their flyer for health equity zones.
Yep.
You have the pro housing winner, so it describes the project that the state of Rhode Island applied for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe this is the press release for the competitive grant award.
Yeah. Joe?
Yes.
Who awards, where the money goes? Is there a committee or is there?
The state does, and I don't know the details of that. I'm not sure they know the details of that yet. I believe it would be the Department of Housing, but I don't know I'm hoping Kristen will be able to help us with those answers next month.
Not to be cautious or even sound negative, but we're always criticized as being a high-end community, so I would think Tom was right to say we ought to look into it, but I bet on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of who gets what, we're not going to get a lot.
Well, I'm not ready to say that yet, Dr. O'Neill.
No, that's why I asked. No, that's why I asked who's assigning it.
Yeah, so the state would be assigning it to my understanding is the state would be allocating money to the Washington County Health Equity Zone, and then that would manifest itself in one of these categories of which I mentioned, which is creating the Health Equity Zone, which is it's created. Toolkits to mediate local concerns. So the town, as I mentioned a minute ago, is already participating. We already have hired through the MTAP, which is the Municipal Technical Assistance Program. We hired Housing Works Rhode Island to do that workshop series for us to talk about housing, to sort of, and the way we would put it with them is to change hearts and minds, to try to talk to people about what affordable housing actually is, and dispel any myths and talk about, what it would look like and what it actually currently does look like in our town. I think that was the last workshop we went to last week, and people were genuinely shocked to see pictures of affordable housing in our town. They had no idea.
Yeah.
They were living right next door to something that qualifies as affordable housing. So so one of the things you can use, they think the money will go toward is toolkits as to mediate local concerns. Technical assistance, we did already receive technical assistance through another program. Nonprofit developer capacity, so first blush, does that mean that nonprofit developers such as Habitat or Women's Development Corp, where one of those can apply for money to construct or to fulfill a project? I'm not sure. I'd like to tell you, I'd like to be able to have more information, but unfortunately the program director of this project doesn't have more information for me at this point.
Yeah.
Where the boots are on the ground, which is at the HEZ, the Health Equity Zone in Washington County.
Sure, do you have any questions?
Yeah. What is the specific goal then for us right now?
I think you were just, so Mr. Kelly was just asking for information, so I provided you information. I think whatever your schedule looks like, your agenda looks like for next month, presumably Clark Road will be live and in action then, so that would take up some time. You can certainly have someone from the Health Equity Zone come in. I think as these things work their way through the system, as entities stabilize as well, you're going to start to see that money. I don't know what it will manifest to, Mr. Renetto. I just don't know yet. I think they'll know better in a month.
So any good ideas that you think might qualify would be?
I think we wait and see, because we don't know if it's going to be, originally, if you look at I think one of the things I provided to you in here was originally what they wanted to do. They wanted to use it for land acquisition, which I thought was very interesting, which would have been great had the state gotten the $9.6 million. But they didn't. They got 3.8. So when they say rejigger, they're looking at reallocating that money, and maybe they're not doing land acquisition anymore. Maybe they're doing softer sells like toolkits and technical assistance, and changing hearts and minds.
My feeling of bringing it forward, pursuing this, after listening to Tom, doing my research, talking to Jill, is I just think it's another another group a door to bang on to see if we, because we are really trying to look at strategies for affordable housing, and we're in a unique market, and it doesn't really accommodate it in the marketplace. So I just thought it was another voice to hear, another resource to have, and also to let them know we're interested. I don't know how many people are banging on their doors, but I want to be one of those people. Jill, I have a question. I don't know that you have the answer to this at all. Do you know if this grant from the feds is just a one-time thing, or is this going to be something that they're going to try to continue year after year?
I think it's a yearly opportunity,
Okay,
but you would have to apply every year, and
Right.
that's only as good as until the money dries up.
sure, absolutely. Okay, so again, this was something to bring forward to you guys to think about. If she's available next month and we have the room, my question is, would next month be too soon, or maybe in November?
The only reason why I hesitate on next month is because if Park Road
Right,
comes
comes
back to you,
Yeah.
it might take a little while.
Yeah, so maybe look at November and give her some time to get her feet on the ground?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
you guys good with that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Joe, for doing this, appreciate it. All right. Board chair meeting, October 3rd. This is so I did an invite to the chairpersons of strategic boards with no real set agenda outside of let's talk. And it was amazing. I think Jill, I don't know about you, but I was kind of surprised and in a good way as to the conversation, and the board wanted another meeting. And part of it was to look at the action plans, but to talk to their own groups about coming back and looking at, what can we start doing with each other to expedite things, but to also enhance what we're trying to do. I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about in the next meeting for us is how, just talking to the zoning board and the way we're sending recommendations to them, is that helping them? Is that giving them a legal leg to stand on, or should we change our approach and stuff? Yeah. So, so we have another one coming up on the 3rd. Jill, do you want to add something to that?
No, you have another one, you have, I did have it in here, you have almost everyone from last time. You have 7 confirmed, I'm waiting to hear back from 3 boards, so pretty good.
And I know some of those boards have already started having coffee with each other, chairs, which was great. So, and somebody said, why haven't we done this before? So I thought that was a positive.
Nobody thought of it, so.
All right, and then the last item we have is the special planning board meeting. This came out of an initiative that I undertook with each individual on the board to look at planning issues that were important to each individual members, and then to look at, as a board, are there things that we can be doing besides just coming here every month and making some decisions? And you have that list that came out, so the request would be to go through those, look at what you proposed as a changed, put together some notes and some discussion points on it, and we can come together. Some of this may turn into part of what we're looking at for the comprehensive plan review. Some of it may just be special projects. I looked at what we were able to accomplish as a group with all the mass that came at us from the state, and just breaking down into small groups of 2 and 3 and going through things. And we are an advisory board to the council, and my thought was, we can do more than just advise them on, development or recommendations, and maybe take a proactive approach on it. So that was my thought. if you guys are not, you know, in the same strain of thought, then we need to talk about it, because I don't want to have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting. But that was the idea.
Well, my only,
Thought we were on board with it. I'm good with it.
Talk?
yeah, my only concern is, like, to gather information on a particular topic, I have to go to these people. They're already working. So, are we then going to create more work for these people to get there? Because they're down to 2 people, they're down to 3 people.
Well, I think for, oh, I'm sorry.
That would be my thought process here, because a couple of things I've been interested in, but I don't know where the hell to go
Yeah.
to even get, started with finding out what if and where is the basic information, and then go from here to there, without turning to these people. So that would be I know it's semi-negative, but it's not meant to be negative. I don't know what your burden is today, but I don't think, in my opinion, you don't need more of a burden right now when you're struggling with 2 people rather than 3 people. But I think we should talk about, are there opportunities, are there ideas that are out there that should be pursued, and we just haven't gotten around to it in the past.
And I just noted, one of the things we need to look at that meeting is identifying obstacles in getting information and collecting data and sources and resources.
You don't necessarily have to take action, you could have a timeline, but let's try to identify them anyway.
And identify and then prioritize for us. And then, maybe we only tackle one thing, or maybe we tackle a couple small things. And then we make recommendations, either back to the staff or to the town council.
I'm all for being proactive.
Doc, you good for that?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Steph, you want to add to that?
So, yes, thank you. A couple of things, and I appreciate you, Dr. Neal, being cognizant of our time constraint and our staffing issues. One of the things you could do, you do have a list, is you could prioritize that list, and some of the low-hanging fruit, if you guys want to grab yourselves, and
Yep.
some of the bigger things that are higher priority that might take some legwork, we can tackle. A couple of those things I want to throw on that list I think it's actually already on there, is the inclusionary zoning. I think someone wrote it on there.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend some time, I do have a draft of that, but I'd like to talk to you about inclusionary zoning before I just present to you what I'm thinking, or maybe what other people are thinking, and kind of get what you think. It's not a very long ordinance. It's not a very long bill. It's not that hard. It's not 30 pages. I think it's 4. And talk about what you folks want to see to bring inclusionary zoning back. And the other one is, we've been consistently being contacted over the last probably 2 years about houseboat legislation. And it doesn't seem, at first blush, well, we don't have a houseboat issue, but we probably do. And our neighbors certainly do, and our neighbors are working on trying to come up with some houseboat. They've tried 2 years now unsuccessfully, and they're going to take another swing at it in 2025 for a houseboat legislation. And by our neighbors, I mean North Kingstown and Newport specifically. And there are other communities involved, but those 2 neighbors very specifically, which have the propensity to have issues with the houseboats. So if those could be 2 things that you might want to take a look at, that would be great. And then we can kick that up, even if it went up to council, to see if council had a taste for looking at houseboats. And if they did and they referred it back to you, great. I think inclusionary zoning can start here and go up.
And Doc, one of the things that I was thinking for this meeting is just doing that, prioritizing, looking at, if you can, gather through the internet or your own, I've been collecting this stuff, bring it, but not asking the staff to do anything for this meeting. But I think it's a key thing to identify obstacles.
And prioritize, maybe not everything is, has to happen this year, or this month,
For this week.
or this week.
If if I may,
Yes?
hopefully I didn't offend you when I said you only have 2 people in your department. You have 3. You used to have 4, so I apologize.
We're working on it, Dr. O'Neill, we're working on it, they should be posting this week.
I'm sure you are, but I realize
You're fine,
who
Dr.
left Heidi
O'Neill.
over here.
Thank you for your thought.
You're a critical piece of it.
I just thought, again, going back and what motivated this for me was just looking at what we were able to accomplish. Not only integrating the new zoning and building, but also looking at it and coming back and saying, hey, this makes no sense, and doing some data. I thought, you know, if we can look at some, even 1 or 2, whatever it might be, but projects that we can put forward. And I think it might be a little bit more fun than just coming in here every day and every month and saying yes or no. Right. And one thing that I wasn't negligent in it. I didn't intentionally, because you guys were going through your change with Mike that it announced is, you know, these are 2 things. If there's other things that you guys would like us to look at, please let us know, and we'll get them on the agenda, and we can look at them.
Sure.
And it doesn't mean that we're going to get everything done in one day. I don't presume that we are, but we can prioritize and then put a timeline on things. I think that would be a huge step. Okay. Either of you, now seeing that we have a rather intimate group, either of you have anything to bring up in the meeting, or that isn't going to shock them and require them to do
Yes.
a pile of dancing?
Yes, we're gonna look, Doc's gonna look at the rules, and, right?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question about the bylaws, rules,
Yep.
et cetera. Let me get to the wording here, because it's, let's see, page 5, middle paragraph. All hearings shall be closed by a vote of the membership in attendance. Motions to approve, and all the way down to the last sentence. Subdivisions, land developments, and comprehensive permits shall require a majority of the full board membership for passage. Does that mean majority present? Or does it have to be at least 3 people approving those motions? Comp plan, subdivision,
Yeah,
comp
that's,
permits, et cetera.
we need to change that.
Say what?
We will need to change that, because under the old laws, you needed, on certain things, you needed a majority of the board.
So
But
if you
now
had 3
it's-
people here and it was a 2 to 1, I wouldn't carry.
You wouldn't carry it, but
Okay,
now, under the new laws, it's a majority of the people present, as long as you have a
Present.
quorum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. So that'll change, okay.
Yeah, and this is things we need to look at when we come back. Right. Steve, if there- and if the staff could give us recommendations of things that they see that maybe they're out of date, maybe, you know, just from our practices, the way we do things, maybe we need to cover those that aren't covered in the procedures.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't pick up anything else.
Staff, anything from you guys?
No,
Steve, anything you need to
Nope.
enlighten us on?
Nope.
Okay. Your favorite part? Need a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I need it seconded.
I'll second that.
It is not debatable. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I
Ayes have it. Unanimous.